When you go into the woods with H.G. Part 3. "Is it a big tree?" asked David with enthusiasm. "Yes, very tall," I replied. "Are you scared of heights?" "No, I'm not scared of anything," he declared. He then accelerated, hacking at unseen enemies, making the accompanying sound effects. "He is, you just won't admit it," Claire explained quietly. I nodded. David continued his imaginary battle, twirling and jumping, slashing and parrying, as he defeated several bushes and tree trunks, whilst Claire walked, and she did so, alongside me, still holding my hand, as we walked a distance behind David. "Where do you live around here?" I asked. She replied, telling me that the area was part of the town which was nearby. It was an area of council houses. It was evident they did not come from money. "Do you prefer it to Leeds?" I asked. "Oh, yes, it's beautiful around here. I love the countryside." "Yes, it is, although it is a decent walk from where you live to get to here," I remarked. "I don't mind." "Why did you come out here?" I probed. "My dad told us about the woods, and we knew just to follow the road, so we did. You're dead lucky living right next to it, you know." "Lucky? Why?" I queried. "Luck has nothing to do with it," I stated. I noticed Claire had stopped and let go of my hand as she stared at me. What was it? Did she not understand the question? "No need to snap at me, H.G.," she said. "I didn't," I answered, looking at her face. I gave her another smile as my mind sought to establish what the issue was. Had I been too direct? Maybe a softer tone was needed. "I didn't understand why you suggested I was lucky living here, that's all," I offered, and thought about how my sister spoke. It seemed to work, as she relaxed again. "Well, you know, it's gorgeous, and there's all this room to go exploring, and so much to see, and it's on your doorstep," she expanded as we started walking again. "It isn't luck that brought us here. My family has worked hard to afford to live where we live," I explained, repeating the very phrase that I had heard so often from my mother. Claire gave a small laugh. "What's so funny?" I asked. You're so grown up," she replied. I did not understand why that amounted to being funny, but I took her remark as a compliment, so I did not pursue the issue further. "Why did you move here?" I asked. "My dad's job. He lost his in Leeds and then got one down here." She then mentioned one of the factories in town. I nodded. We had walked further along the path which had meandered through the wood, and then twisted to the right and sloped gently downwards, heading towards the stream which cut through the wood. This was where I would often take them. "David, wait!" I shouted at her brother. He halted and stood still as we walked up to him. The path had narrowed, the verdant greenery prevalent on either side. There was no breeze, and the light was just starting to fade, although darkness was some time from arriving. The cawing of a couple of crows could be heard, but apart from that, all was silent. "Now," I announced, turning to David, "your challenge is to climb to the top of this tree," I explained, pointing to a magnificent birch tree, which was a little way back from the path. I saw Claire regarding the tree, trying to evaluate its height, which was a little difficult given the canopy of leaves above. "Okay," said David as he ambled over to the birch. I walked up to it, too, and patted the trunk. "This is the great birch, the tallest tree in the wood," I explained. "How do you know that?" asked David. "Because I've climbed it," I retorted. He shrank back. "Tone," I told myself. "Tone. You are to climb to the very top, and then, when you get there, you'll be able to see something special. Then, when you have seen it, climb back down and tell me what you saw. If you can't tell me, I will know you did not climb to the top." "Is it safe?" asked Claire. "It's a tree, not a crocodile," I replied. "It looks a long way up," she remarked, peering upwards. "That's because it's the tallest tree in the wood," I answered, unable to mask my exasperation at the obviousness of her statement. "Ready to do it?" I asked David. "You'd better do it. I want you out of the way," I thought to myself. He nodded. I could sense his uncertainty. It wasn't especially difficult, given the multitude of strong branches, one or two tricky points where you had to fling your legs upwards and wrap them around the relevant branch, but it was only a problem if you fell. Then it could be a long way down. "Okay, off you go," I stated. "Be careful, David," added Claire. "Stop fussing, sis," he answered, as he jumped at the trunk and pulled himself up and reached for the first branch. He grasped it, and pushing with his feet against the trunk, propelled himself onto the branch. Holding the trunk, he stood up and reached for the next branch, as he lifted a foot onto another branch. He then began to climb. "That's it, you're doing well," encouraged Claire. We both watched the boy as he ascended the tree, until eventually he was enveloped by the leaves. He could still be heard, the slight noises of exertion audible over the still of the wood, the rustle of the trees' leaves as he pushed his body through them. Occasionally, one would float down, dislodged by his passage. I turned to Claire. We were alone. She was mine now. No irritating little brother getting in the way with his insolence and banal chatter, and I had achieved this without having to hurt him, which meant I had not lost favour with the sister. She was still peering upwards. I don't know why, as David had long since vanished from view, unless she was waiting to see him come crashing down from out of the greenery, a hopeless unit that would plummet with a scream of terror as he slammed into centuries-old boughs, his limbs snapping as they struck the hardened wood. The image in my mind amused me, and I laughed out loud. "What is it?" asked Claire. Good. She had snapped out of her reverie and was looking at me. My immediate response was to share the vision with her, but I caught myself. I understood that would upset her, which sometimes would be the whole point, but not now. Watching her eyes leak would get in the way of what I wanted. "Oh, nothing," I lied. She frowned, puzzled, and then I struck. I advanced on her, slipping my arms around her. She looked slightly taken aback, but she made no move to escape me or to move my arms. Good. With a little hesitancy, she placed her arms around me as she glanced up the tree again, but then straight back at me. I could gauge she liked this, but was also wary. What was the source of her caution? Was she nervous of what would happen next? Was she wary of the boy in the woods who she had only just met? Or was it something else? Something deeper? Whatever it was, it could wait. "What's this, then?" she asked, but it was with a small smile. "Oh, you know, I just wanted to bring you close," I explained. Closeness. Isn't that what her kind wanted? "Why?" she asked with a slight air of defiance. Always with the fucking questions. Why this? Why that? What does this mean? Do. Just do. Because it is. Because I say so. You can fuck off. This is my moment, not yours. Why? I mimicked. My mind accelerated through the options, signposts with answers flashing through my thoughts. Because you have a radiant smile, because your hair smells clean, because you belong to me, because I like you, because I can, because you feel good, because there's something special about you, because I want to feel your tits, because I'm drawn to you, because of the wonderful Wizard of Oz. But no words. Action, HG. Do. You are the doer. I smiled, ensuring that my blue eyes held her gaze, entrancing her, enchanting her. She gazed at me, her eyes darting left and right, seeking an answer in my unwavering gaze that I returned. I leant forward. She did not retreat, but instead lifted her face to mine as I pressed my lips against hers and pulled her into me. We kissed. Her lips were warm as our mouths began to move. I held her tight against me and felt her hands do likewise as the kiss continued. I let my tongue slip into her mouth, and her mouth widened as I heard her first murmur of pleasure, and her tongue met mine. I could feel the warmth flooding me. She was mine. I still led the kiss, but then she began to push. She wanted more, as I steered her so she was up against the tree. She gave a slight noise as I backed her into the tree, and she kissed me more fiercely. She had kissed before. With who? Did she have a boyfriend? Was I stealing her? I felt a spark at that thought as my hands left her back and one went to her neck. Little noises of appreciation came from her. They caused slight surges within me as I felt my own physical response to the ongoing kiss. I pushed against her, let her feel me, let her know. Her hands gripped my back as I stroked the back of her neck, which elicited another noise of enthusiasm from her. This was good. I was owning her. She was mine, not his, certainly not hers, mine. "Help! Help!" came the shriek on high. I heard the cry, but ignored it. She, of course, could not. She tried to pull away from me, but couldn't, as I clasped her to me. "Let me drink." Her noises shifted to a muffled panic. "Help! I'm stuck!" came the shout again. This time the fear could be heard in the voice. Claire gave me a shove, and I stood back, looking at her, aroused, wanting more. "David's stuck," she said, her voice rising. "He's just being silly," I said dismissively. "Come here." I wanted more. I wanted more of her. "No, please, HG, you have to help him," she cried. "Help, help, help him, help her, save him, save her. Nobody helped me. Nobody." "Please," she said again, gesticulating upwards. "I'm going to fall!" came a scream from above us.